Okay, so yeah, I'm wearing the same stuff. This is the same one that I made in the last video that I probably posted. Anyway, this is because it's pretty much a back-to-back issue, which is, am I pregnant? Okay, first off, I'll clear that one up right now. No, I'm not pregnant at the moment. Definitely not. Um, Second thing is, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because, like, automatically whenever someone sees someone young is married, it's, oh, they're expecting, they're pregnant, or they've had a kid. And it's like, for some people, sure, that is the instance. And if that's what they wanted to do, then that's perfectly fine, you know? I'm not going to hate on them. But that's always, like, the stereotype. And that's always what people, like, want to know or are asking. And, like, it's so uncomfortable for me, in my opinion. And it also gives the stereotype that kids only get married, and I'm saying kids because it's 30-year-old people who still view 18-year-olds as kids. Understandable, but whatever. Um, it gives a stereotype that, like, people who are considered legal adults, who can smoke, who can drink, who can have sex, who can do whatever really they want. Well, they can't drink in the United States. But you get what I'm saying. They're, like, legally considered adults, and you're sitting there and saying the only reason that they can get married nowadays is because they made a mistake. And that's just such a harmful stereotype to continue on, and, like, it automatically gets pinned on, like, the female more than the male in the instance. You know, it's never, oh man, he should have kept it in his pants or whatever. It's usually like, oh, she should have known better, I can't believe she did this. So I've actually faced, like, a lot of questions like that, and, like, I didn't notice it, but the other day I was getting a cleaning, and she was talking to me and stuff, and she asked where I lived, and I had to tell her, like, my address had changed since I was married, and she was like, oh, you got married, congratulations. And of course they have my birthday in the system because, I mean, I don't know why, I guess just to tell my age or whatever. But she's talking to me, and, like, one of the first things she asks is, like, oh, so do you guys have kids, or are you planning on getting any? And, like, for me personally, and, like, this is gonna get kind of deep, but, like, I'm not sure if I want kids. Like, I always had the stereotypical white picket fence American family in my head whenever I was little, but I also, like, I knew I didn't feel, like, completely right in that because I am non-binary and there's so many different things about me that don't fit into the stereotypical. And now I have so many other things to consider, you know, like, babies cost a heck of a lot of money, and, like, they're not just babies, they're not little Barbie dolls that you played with as a kid. Like, in my head as a kid, I could never imagine my kids growing up, and maybe that was just because of my age, and I was already, like, you know, so young whenever I was imagining this, but, like, I couldn't imagine seeing the thing that I created turning up into an adult like me, you know, sitting here and talking to you guys, and, like, that was just, like, completely unfathomable for me. And now that I'm older, of course, I'm like, oh crap, like, that's a human. Like, it's got feelings and emotions and, like, a body, and, like, it's so, like, intensely real, you know? And I've also, like, considered things of, like, okay, I'm adopted, and, like, I could adopt kids, you know? Like, why don't I want to adopt kids? And I was like, well, it's caused a lot of issues for me, you know? I've had a lot of like, issues of, like, oh my gosh, like, people saying that my mom's not my real mom and my real dad's not my real dad, and, like, all sorts of issues with that, and then issues with figuring out who your biological parents are and, like, what that means and, like, what they are as people, and, like, trying so hard to not let that define you, because the chances are if you're adopted, it's because your parents weren't the best, whether that was their choice or not. They weren't the best, and so then you look back and you hear about these people and you hear about the things they did, and you're like, oh, that's, like, a part of me because, like, I came from them. And there's so many issues that come with adoption that it makes me nervous, but I also don't want to leave those kids in a system forever. So there's that to consider. And then, like, with me being adopted, I know my parents have mental illnesses, and so do I. So I'm like, is that hereditary? Like, is there a chance that if I had kids, would that pass down to mine? You know, because, like, life has been so difficult and so hard, and, like, I would hate to create a life for my own sake because I want to have kids, and then my kid goes through the same things I did or 10 times worse, you know? Like, that would make me so sad. And, like, how as a parent can you not blame yourself for your kid having depression if you have depression? You know, just because you'd feel like, oh, that's, like, a part of me, and you'd feel like, well, cool, they got the part of me that has depression. And so yeah, I feel like I definitely would have to go to therapy about that kind of thing, and people are like, oh, you have time, you have time, you have time, but it's like, there's also that biological clock thing, and it's like, I don't want to be having kids whenever I'm 40 because I couldn't make up my mind, you know? That puts both me and my child at risk. And there's so many issues with that, and I hate the fact that people are always asking now, you know? Whenever you're growing up, no one wants to think of you even having kids because they're thinking then of like all sorts of other things that they don't want to get into. And now that you're married, people all of a sudden care about like your sex life and what that's going to turn into, and like if you're having kids and like if you've had kids. And it's like, it's such a personal question, and there's so many people who go through things that I do, or people who are just revolted by children, because I mean, they're kind of gross. They poop, they pee, they do all the things that we do, but like 10 times more often when they're little, and you have to take care of it, and it's just a lot. And she was asking me all these questions about kids, like if I had them already, if I was going to have them, and like literally she probably almost thought I was like offended because it was just so out of the blue for me. I was like I'm sitting there in the chair all like leaning back like, oh, I'm good. Like, because that's the genuine reaction that I have at the moment. There's too many variables that I don't feel like I can answer, and there's too much stuff that's unknown, and I know that I'll never probably get the answers, but that still worries me way too much for me to even consider being a parent right now. And it bothers me so much that so many people, that's the first thing they go to. They're like, oh, you're married? They make a joke that it sucks, and then say, oh, do you have kids? Do you want kids? You know? And then, like, I'm so worried for, like, in 2 or 3 years, whenever, you know, we've been together for a while, and people are going to be like, so when are you going to try to have kids? And I'm going to be like, I have issues that I don't want to pass on to them. Like, Jill, you know? Like, it's just, like, ugh. It's just so much. And so I've realized now, with being married and, like, sharing that kind of stuff, that, like, a lot of people assume, like, oh, she's pregnant or she's had a kid, or, and I'm saying she because, you know, people perceive me as that, but whatever. You know, she's had a kid, she's gonna have a kid, she's, you know, pregnant, she's pregnant currently, you know? And then, like, the automatic thing whenever you get married, it's not like you can't, it's like people think you can't enjoy your life and go and, like, travel the world with this person. You have to automatically settle down and get a stable life and a stable this and have kids and do things the traditional way. What if I want to go to Italy with my husband and I want to go, I was going to call him my husband. What if I want to go to Brazil? What if I want to go, you know? I have actually been really interested in my heritage because I am adopted. So I've wanted to do like a European, Middle Eastern, Asian tour because it's a part of all of me, and I want to see that stuff. I want to literally go to their cultures and experience that, and no offense, but a baby can hinder that a lot, and that's not the baby's fault, but like I'm just saying, if you're gonna have kids, you got to consider those things. And I don't know, it's irritating to have people trying to force stereotypes on me. It's irritating for people to automatically assume that I got pregnant, and like with Americans and with the area that I live in, that would be like a huge sin and a huge no-no because, you know, if I had kids, premarital sex, oh no, you know, there I am going to hell. Or, oh, if I'm pregnant, oh, premarital sex, I'm going to hell, you know? It's just, it's too much. And I wish people were more considerate for people who aren't sure if they want to have kids, you know? Like, that's a huge decision. And just because I made one huge decision, that doesn't mean that I want to make one about lives that I haven't even met yet, you know? Getting married and having kids are two entirely, like, separate things, in my opinion, because getting married is involving someone that you've hopefully been with for a good enough amount of time. I'm not going to say a long time, because you know what? The time limit is different for everyone. But getting married is combining your life with someone else's, and all that really means is living with them all the time. So, you know, besides managing finances and other things, like, you just kind of like, okay, let's do this together. But having kids is deciding to put your body through hell, to put your mind through hell, to put your emotions through hell, and to pop out this life and take care of it for over 18 years. Because let's be real, your parents are taking care of you until the day you're taking care of them. And even then there's probably like a trade-off thing because who knows. But like that's so different because then you're involving a life that you haven't even met yet, and you have to consider things of like, what's the world going to be like in 20 years? Do I want to bring a life into that, you know? And like there's just too many different things, and I hate it that people automatically correlate them. And there are tons of people who just don't want kids, you know, whether it's because they think kids are gross, whether it's because they don't think they could be a good parent, whether it's whatever reason. Some people don't want kids. And I think what I wish is that people would stop automatically going to, oh, you got married young, you must have had a kid. Or, oh, you've been married for 3 or 4 years now, when are you having kids? Like, I don't know, Sharon, when's the last time you had sex? Stop bothering me. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like if someone is going to talk about whether or not they want to have kids, they will bring that up on their own terms. So yeah, I am not pregnant. I don't know if I want to become pregnant ever, and I'm not sure what that sort of path in like holds in it for me or whatever. I'm just kind of waiting things out, and I'm trying to experience things with someone else, and I don't know if I want to bring another person into that yet. So yeah, I appreciate you all for watching. So if you have any questions about me being pregnant, the answer is no, I'm not. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not pregnant. Thank you so much for watching this and listening to my spiel. It's kind of more of a get to know me video than just answering whether or not I'm pregnant. And I hope that clears up things for everyone. I'm hoping that it'll lead to less questions being asked. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye!